This is BBC London. I'm Asad Ahmed. Let's see what's coming up on the programme. 2 shopping days until Christmas, and we learn that footfall on high streets is up, but we also hear from traders who say people aren't necessarily spending.
Everything is going up, and this year is difficult.
For people that are probably on benefits, it's a bit more harder, and for those that are, quite wealthy, I'm sure they can fork out.
We hear from people in 2 very different shopping areas, also on the programme this evening. The big Christmas getaway. Millions of journeys have already begun by road, rail and planes. We'll have the latest travel.
They were just divine.
Amazing people.
Kylie Minogue's verdict after meeting some Make a Difference award winners. You can hear more from her later.
And we've got choirs of mums, choirs from Kent, and a choir where all the songs are sung in Korean. We are seeing in Christmas from a festive Trafalgar Square.
Good evening. If you've come into the West End of London over the past few weekends, you'll know that sometimes it's been tricky to walk on the pavement because of the sheer number of people out shopping. That's reflected in new figures which confirm footfall on many high streets is up. But not everywhere. There are many traders still struggling to make profits as the cost of living crisis continues to hit people's wallets. Here's Layla Hayes.
Just days till Christmas, and at Ridley Road Market in Hackney, shoppers are feeling the pinch.
Everything is going up, and this year is difficult. There's no money.
Yeah, I've really changed the way I shop now. Like my fruits, I get them in the market before I get them in the shop.
Everyone's being cautious. Yeah, you have to. You don't know what's going to happen next.
Abdul has been selling carpets here for 15 years and says people are sticking to the basics.
After COVID, obviously, it's slowed down, but this year it's been much slower than before. Customers that have no money, or even if they have, they're saying the cost of living is higher.
Mohammed has worked here for more than 30 years and says things still haven't recovered since COVID.
Really tough now at the moment. Look at the Christmas time and a couple of days left. And I think the people haven't got money.
Today's figures show footfall on the high street actually increased in the run-up to Christmas, but it can often depend on where you are, with places like Oxford Street still busy.
I have bought a couple of things. I bought like a purse, and I bought sunglasses, and I also bought a coat. It's Christmas.
And have you noticed prices have gone up? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, we did a little bit. We noticed that. We actually not from here, we're from Cyprus, but we've noticed the difference a bit, yeah.
It depends on what your income is, am I right? So for people that are probably on benefits, it's a bit more harder. And for those that are, quite wealthy, I'm sure they can fork out.
Retailers will be hoping for a bumper Christmas. But for those who can't afford to splash out, the good news is that the sales have already started. Layla Hayes, BBC London.
Well, that's our top story this evening. But before we look at the Christmas getaway, let's take a look at some other local stories in the headlines today. A woman from Hackney has been charged with murdering her 4-year-old son. Keziah Makaria is accused of stabbing Kobe at their home in Dalston on Wednesday night. The RMT union has announced a week of strikes on the tube starting 2 weeks today. Action will take place on different days between the 5th and 12th of January as part of a dispute over pay. Transport for London insists its latest offer is the most it can afford. A new piece of artwork by Banksy has disappeared less than an hour after it was confirmed as being authentic. 2 men were seen removing the piece, which was installed in Peckham. It depicted 3 military drones on a stop sign. Well, now to the Christmas getaway, and after the nightmare on trains yesterday, which left tens of thousands of people stranded at stations, including Euston, Paddington and King's Cross, Gatwick Airport says today is its busiest day for flights. While the AA expects millions of extra car journeys, Matt Graveling is on one of the main routes into and out of London for us this evening to tell us more. Over to you, Matt.
Good evening, Asad. Well, the RAC dubbed this Frantic Friday because of the number of journeys that will be done. But if you look behind me, the M40, which is the main route that goes from London to the Midlands, seems to be flowing pretty well. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. We'll come back to the roads and the rails in just a moment, but let's take to the skies if you are lucky enough to be going abroad for your holidays. Well, the major airports, Gatwick and Heathrow, have both said that they expect this to be one of their busiest festive weeks ever, and they expect Friday today to be the busiest day of all. In fact, Heathrow expects 6.5 million passengers to go through their airport this December, with some of the exotic destinations including Dubai, New York or Delhi, all which sound very nice when you're stood on a cold motorway bridge. But back to the roads, and the RAC have said that they expect around 21 million journeys to take place from between now up to Christmas Eve, and the message really, Asad, remains the same, which is make sure your car is safe and roadworthy. And if you want a few tips to make sure it is, here is National Highways.
So top up all your fluid levels, make sure that you've got enough fuel for the journey that you're planning to do. Make sure that your screen wash and your engine oil is done. Look at the condition of your tyres, to check your tread depth and the actual condition of your tyres, because tyres react differently on these longer journeys. Making sure that you've got a fully charged mobile phone. Make sure that you've planned your route ahead.
So the advice there is plan ahead. And some more advice coming from Network Rail is check before you travel, because Network Rail have said that they expect today and tomorrow to be the busiest day on the rails of the festive season. They've also warned passengers to remember that Paddington Station is going to be closed on Christmas Eve. Now, all services, of course, as per usual, will be off on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, but again, Paddington will be closed on the 27th, that's the Wednesday, and it'll be reopening on the 28th. There will be limited service as well from King's Cross. And just before we came on air, Asad, I spoke to Network Rail press office, and they wanted to remind people as well that Victoria has got some signalling works going on, and they choose this time because there's less commuters. But I'm going to finish now, Asad, with a little reminder for people who may be travelling in and around London, which may make a little bit of a saving for them this Christmas. The congestion charge is not having to be paid between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. However, ULEZ is payable every single day, apart from the big day itself, the 25th of December. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Matt, and thanks for that important advice. Now, lots of people may be travelling in and out of London this weekend, as we've just heard, but this whole festive period is a boom time for the hospitality sector. Many venues have recorded a rise in Christmas and New Year bookings, but then there are also higher wage bills and energy costs to consider. So Emma North has been finding out how businesses on balance are doing.
Mains away, 1 king's burger, no cheese, 2 beef burger and 1 turkey.
At the Lighterman pub in King's Cross, the pre-Christmas push is at its peak.
In general, we're busy all the time. It's been full. Very, very often guests have to book a table in advance here. Yes, we do have plenty of space to accommodate the walk-ins as well, but in general, we are busy. It's been a great year, I have to say, very successful. Yeah.
We are still going out.
People's figures for this year, many of them are comparable with 2019. Hotels, I know we're not talking about hotels in particular, but hotels have certainly bounced back to those kind of levels, and restaurants, they're at that kind of level on turnover.
But diners here, at least, are more choosy.
Probably spending a bit less, going out a little bit less, but still, you've got to live your life, haven't you?
So we might not go for fancy dinners as much as we used to. We might do more homemade things. So I think that has affected our going out.
I would say location, where something is, where an evening event is taking place, how easy it is to get there. Money can be a factor as well.
And this is being reflected across hospitality in the capital.
In 2023, our eating habits here in central London at least did change. Some chains reported that the rise of working from home ate into their business on a Monday and a Friday, and it effectively threatened some with operating on a 3-day week. And while things are working perfectly smoothly out at the front, behind the scenes, there's been a lot of work to do.
And the pressure is coming from all sides.
Bar a hurricane, I don't think we could have had much more thrown at us. Nowadays, to try and find a good chef and to find people who are suited to the industry is very, very difficult.
And fuel prices, food prices, train strikes, what else?
My God. The food is one of the biggest ones. I mean, look, we always try and give as best value for money as we can to the customers. But when you see stuff increase over a week by 15-20%, that hits the margins.
And next year, while the price of food, drink and fuel is still expected to rise, in April we see an increase in the national living wage. Good news for employees, but tough on small businesses. And rail strikes, which cost hospitality an estimated £4 billion nationally this year, may still lead to some disruption. So we're not out of the woods yet, but for now, at least, there's a moment for pause. Emma North, BBC London.
Now, for an increasing number of people this year, Christmas is a challenging time. It's why a number of charities and organisations are offering help and support. But we've featured lots of Londoners making a difference in their communities. And tonight, Chris Legg is with a group doing just that in East London. Chris.
Yes, Assad, we've got a community bike ride that's going to get underway here in Shoreditch at 7:30. There's going to be hundreds of volunteers handing out essential items to homeless people. London does have the highest rate of homelessness in the UK. 1 in 51 people here are homeless. We're going to speak to some of those taking part in just a moment. First of all, another organisation doing great work is Crisis, and Thomas McGill can tell us more about what they're doing over the Christmas period.
So someone will just be round in a second to take your breakfast order. Have a lovely morning.
Serving up some Christmas spirit. These are just some of London's rough sleepers who are being brought in from the cold for a hot meal, a clean bed and a warm welcome, all provided by an army of volunteers. This is just one of 3 centres the charity Crisis has opened this week ahead of Christmas to support those living on the capital streets.
What people get is the dignity and the safety of a room of their own. But on top of that, there are people here providing hairdressing, doctors, podiatrists, entertainment, volunteers who are there to give people company, because so often people tell us they feel desperately lonely and really desperate over the Christmas period.
All this in stark contrast to these scenes of a security guard caught on camera quite literally trying to wash away this homeless man. And then in Camden, this is the council destroying tents after public health concerns. And sadly, it seems these are not isolated cases. A survey by Crisis has found that 7 in 10 rough sleepers say that they have felt invisible to others. 2/3 said that they felt like no one cared about them. And sadly, 69% of those living on the street says that it's had a negative impact on their relationship with family. Back in Aldgate, and Gabriella knows the value of places like this. She was homeless this time last year before being offered help and support that's changed her life.
I now live in a housing association flat. That was all due to Crisis last year, because the warm bed, the hot meals, the emotional support that I received all the way throughout my stay at the hotel, which led me to a much more confident and happier place.
Crisis says almost 600 rough sleepers will be given a room, with thousands more getting the gift of support and compassion.
So that's your breakfast and your toast. Enjoy.
Thomas McGill, BBC London.
Really valuable work from Crisis. I can speak now to the man who had the idea for this community bike ride in Shoreditch, Viral. Viral, what gave you the motivation to put this together?
Well, during lockdown, when society and people who were living across London were having things difficult, there was a situation where I saw elongated amount of homeless people on the streets of London, and it really made me feel that I had to do something about it.
In the 4 years you've been doing it, you've seen this problem get worse, haven't you? Just tell us the scale of it now.
The scale is massive. I mean, these are situations that are coming into play from things that were put together by the government in terms of schemes to help people during the pandemic, but things are coming on the flip side now, where we've got situations where entertainment was closed for a period of time and people were being paid and furloughed at 80% in lesser income, now they're in a situation where they can't keep up with their bills that they had.
Okay, thank you, Vero. We can have a look over here with Alex. Alex, show us some of the equipment you're going to be handing out to the homeless tonight.
Some water bottles, some socks, warm jumpers, and we've also got some sleeping pods as well, so that people can be in there and be warm during adverse weather.
How long are you going to be out there tonight?
At least 3 hours tonight, at least 3 hours. We try and get back for about 11 o'clock, but if more needs doing, then we will be out for longer.
Okay, good luck to all of you. I mean, the work that these lot are going to do tonight, there's going to be about 300 people taking part in this. It really is truly going to make a difference. Assad.
Yeah, Chris, tremendous work being done there. Thanks very much for that. Well, the Make a Difference slot, which started on BBC Local Radio and showcases people like those cyclists we just saw, has won lots of fans, and one of them you might just recognise. It's pop star Kylie Minogue, who wanted to speak to some of the winners of the Make a Difference Awards. She joined BBC Radio London's Gabby Roslin and listened to Talisha Goupil, who witnessed her brother being stabbed and is now educating young people about the dangers of carrying a knife. Watch this.
Good. I've developed a programme with the Met Police as well and a few other organisations in London in order to make this happen and make a change for our young people. So I'm doing that, plus I work full time, so I'm juggling that, but I want to make a difference and make a change for our future generations, and for them to also be able to have a future.
That's so incredible. I mean, what's so amazing is something so heartbreakingly negative that you've turned around, and you're now helping others is with your foundation as well. So
that's astonishing work. How old are you? Do you mind me asking?
I'm actually 31 now.
Right, so full-time job, managing loss and grief and shock and trauma and all of that, and putting all your time and energy into this. It's amazing. You're slightly behind the camera, but I can see. Well done.
I would like to know what impacts you the most when meeting young fans at concerts, and where you meet them when you're just walking down the road and day-to-day life.
Oh, that's a really good question. How am I going to answer? What impacts me the most? Well, I still have a real wonder that people, this is going to sound really weird, but they recognize me, but especially when it's younger kids, and it's so touching and amazing. And I guess I'd think, I don't know, if I met, you know, a pop star or someone from the telly or Gabby or whoever it was when I was a kid, how kind of magical it would have been. So, that, to be honest, when I meet kids and I feel their energy and excitement, it does as much for me as it does for them.
Oh, that's so lovely.
And I wonder if when you're doing these talks and educational talks and visits with the young kids, you know, they've got these beautiful open minds, and it's such a good time to be putting your positive message to them and helping them handle just parts of the world today that I think information coming from you with your experience and your heart, and you know, coming from someone they can relate to is just wonderful. So you know, I have these kind of shiny moments with fans and people, which is so beautiful. Like, to me, that's the best part of what I do, is that connecting. So it sounds like you're having, of course, under different circumstances, but experiencing the amazing frisson of just people and minds and hearts coming together.
Well, our thanks to Kylie Minogue for taking time out for us there. But I do just want to take a moment to say that one of the women who took part in that Zoom call there with Kylie has sadly passed away. Wendy Clark was terminally ill and campaigning to raise awareness of cervical cancer. We send Wendy's family and friends who are watching tonight our sincere condolences. And if you want to hear what Kylie said to Wendy during that chat, and to the other winners too, then tune in to BBC Radio London on Boxing Day at 9 AM on BBC Sounds as well. The programme is dedicated to Wendy. Back to some Christmas cheer now, and Christmas can't be Christmas without carols. And if you want a Christmassy backdrop to hear them, like a scene out of the film Love Actually, where better to go than Trafalgar Square, where Wendy Hurrell is there for us tonight and having a very nice time by the looks of it, Wendy.
I absolutely am. I'm in a warm huddle of choir singers at the moment, singing an absolute classic, of course. This is Ashford Sings, the choir, and it's part of a programme of choirs through tonight and tomorrow and on Christmas Eve as well. This is the place to come if you're doing those last bits and you're a bit frazzled, to calm down and get some entertainment. And there is another group of singers I want to introduce you to. They are the London Courier Hummingbird Choir. They practice at the Place Cafe in New Malden, which is where Anna O'Neill caught up with them.
Once a week for the past 2 years, it's been home to London's first amateur Korean choir, originally set up as a one-off for a charity event.
We were very happy to sing for the charity show. Then afterwards we decided why not we continue. So we kept on singing at this very cafe every Thursday for the last 2 years.
They recently sang for the King here in New Malden to celebrate 140 years of British-Korean relations. The choir has been a lifeline for some.
My husband fell ill with sepsis, and coming out from time to time to meet people and singing together. And then whenever I came, I felt tired to come out, but after singing, I went back with the energy to continue my life, so it really helped me.
Hee Jung was a professional singer in Korea, but can't sing with the choir for the moment.
When I came here and I get the first baby, I lost my voice, so I couldn't be able to do that anymore.
So you lost your voice?
Yeah, sure, yeah. It was a miserable story for me, actually, yeah. I met them and I couldn't be able to sing towards audience, but I can see their happy face every time, so it's enough for me.
Mr. Kim owns the cafe.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to share my little place, for the local choir practice.
Something like celebrating Christmas Day, and then this.
And even though they sing in Korean, not all of the choir members are native speakers.
I cheat by writing underneath the Korean the English equivalent, so because I can't read it fast enough to sing to. So.
When you feel winter blues, come out to the local community, find your nearest choir, and keep singing.
Yes, and that's exactly what we're doing around the Norwegian spruce here. And you know I like very much an elaborately decorated house at this time of year. If you've ever wondered how much it costs or how long it takes, let's hear from Paul Bibby at his house on King's Road in Chelmsford.
I started at the end of Halloween, so it took me a whole month to do them. It's costing me about £8 a night. I've had people come from Romford, Hertfordshire. So far I've raised £1,300. I love Christmas.
Well, yes, we appreciate your effort, Paul, we really do. Well, we are just gearing up for the finale, I think, here in Trafalgar Square of the Ashford Sings Choir. It remains for me to say a very Merry Christmas to you, and stay with us because we're going to be hearing from that Korean choir. They're singing us out of the programme. But here we are, Ashford Sings.
It looks absolutely fabulous down there, Wendy. Thanks very much. Looking forward to hearing from the choir very shortly. Now let's get the weather forecast from Louise. It looks like being less of a white Christmas, more of a mild Christmas, really.
Incredibly mild. Could be the mildest Christmas Eve on record. We need to beat 15.6 that was set in 1931. This has been the scene today. Quite a lot of cloud around, some breaks here and there. But generally speaking, this weather front is the dividing line between some cold air with some snow showers in the north of Scotland. A lot of cloud, but very mild further south of that frontal system. Now, through the night tonight, cloud will tend to come and go. We could have some clearer skies for a time, which will allow those temperatures to fall away. But on the whole, it stays on the mild side. Temperatures first thing tomorrow morning at around 6 to 8 degrees. Now, we will start off with some sunny spells, and we're likely to keep some sunny spells as we go through the day. It's going to be dry, it'll be quite quiet, and there will be some cloud coming and going throughout the day. But on the whole, not too bad. A westerly wind, those temperatures will stay on the mild side for this time of year. We're likely to see them peaking during the afternoon between 10 and 12 degrees. As we go into Christmas Eve, it's going to be a windy affair, but the wind is going to change direction. Could be a little bit of patchy rain around for a time, but certainly more cloud on Christmas Eve. The wind direction is subtly coming from a southwesterly, driving even more mild air across us, which means that if we see temperatures around 15 degrees, perhaps it could be close to the Christmas Eve record. So mild and windy on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day looks likely to be a wet affair at times. There'll be some outbreaks of rain, and then as we move into Boxing Day, the rain eases away. We'll see some quieter weather, but it will be just that little bit cooler. So if you want to make plans, this is the forecast. Some rain around on Christmas Day, sunnier but cooler by Boxing Day. Asad.
Louise, thanks very much and a Merry Christmas to you. Well, that's it from the BBC London early evening news team. I'm back with our late news tonight, and we're back on BBC One tomorrow and on Christmas Eve. If you're celebrating Christmas, we wish you a very Merry Christmas. If you're not, we wish you a restful and peaceful week ahead. We'll leave you tonight with the London Korean Hummingbirds Choir singing us out on behalf of the BBC London team. Goodbye.